Well, it looks like I'm finally on. Sorry, I was having a few problems, guys. Hello. Hello everyone. Let me know if you can see and hear me properly. It seems to be working on my end. I'm looking at my audio levels. They're okay. And the video is on. Just before I started, it wouldn't log on to my stream. So I thought something might go wrong here, but luckily I fixed it. All right. As always, guys, if you want to ask a question on the live chat, on the top right hand side little stream thing that you see where people are chatting, if you type in your question, make sure you bracket it, put a lot of emojis beforehand just so I can visually see it, because a lot of people are talking. All right, let's get to it. So while you guys ask your questions, here's a first super chat. I'll get to that one first. It's by the Fix for New York podcast. Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. He says, or she says, men lose interest in women due to their rude, obnoxious, selfish, manipulative, entitled ways, along with laws rigged in their favor. Yeah, that's probably the biggest reason. Look, there are a multitude of reasons why men lose interest. There's biology. Quite simply, your drive, your reproductive and hormonal drive. When you're puberty, when you are hit like an atomic bomb, that fades in your 20s and then in your 30s, and it just keeps going down and down. So that's probably one of the biggest natural things that fades without you even, it has nothing to do with your experiences in life, what you've been through with women, but it helps too. So if you've tried and failed, or hadn't been married and failed, or had kids and been, and then had them taken away from you, or you don't see them, you're a part-time father, that gut-wrenching stuff, even as a emotional survival mechanism. Like if you've had that pain, like your kids are out there and they're around some other man more than they're around you, you really feel your absence in their lives. This is what men have told me who are fathers. And so as a survival mechanism, you kind of you try and go away from that ever happening to you again. And so you're around your hobbies, your interests, you build your own life, you might work a lot, but you find that distracting for one and fulfilling too. So everything points to naturally why men lose interest in women, and women probably do too. I mean, women were rock stars in their 20s and 30s, their popularity is fading, and they've got another man's child. So the chances of another man wanting to take up that with a single mum, and also she's been there and done that. She's been the rock star in her teens and 20s, and now in her 30s and 40s, she's a former rock star. So, not many people listen to those songs anymore. But women lose interest too. This misnomer that guys think that women will be running back. There are women that run back, but not for the reasons most guys think. Like, they think that the degree to which men were so enamored and addicted to women in their teens and 20s, women will come back being addicted in that way, and then men will have the upper emotional hand like women had when they were younger. Like, we'll be aloof, we'll take them or leave them. No, women come back simply for the companionship, so they're not alone. they've sort of they've probably matured to a degree, and I'm not saying they've become completely different people. They've had experiences just like you, but yeah, they're coming back for probably the company and the social life, and just so they're not alone with their kids or cats or whatever. But they're not coming back in the same way guys were in their teens and 20s. They're not coming back addicted hormonally to us now. And please, please, I want you. I'll do anything for you. I'll lay down in traffic for you. It's not like that. They're mildly coming back for company. And they're probably less crazy than they were when they were younger, sure. But then also you, as a guy, you're coming back to the table if you do want relationships in a much calmer way. So both men and women do. So it's one of these funny things when I hear guys saying, you know, you wait till I'm successful and I've got my life together in my 40s or 50s or whatever, all these women I'll have my pick of. You'll be mildly interested as well. You won't want to sacrifice everything you have because you've got a good life. I know I have a good life. I've got home, family, and friends. And the door being open for a relationship is only for a very specific person. And if that person doesn't come around, it's like, my life is really good. So let's get to some of the questions. The topic is based around one of my previous recent videos was why men lose interest in women. Tim says, once you lose the game, why keep playing the game? Depends if you see loss, you know, whether you've lost in the game or whether you see it in a different way. It's like how you want to play now. They're by your rules. They're mutual rules, you know. You've got your standards and your values. The way you operate with your friends. The way you interact with people in the street. The way you interact with bosses. The way you interact with family. It's a more calm, stable and centered way. And if a woman doesn't sort of fit into that mode, it's kind of like, I'm not going to be one person with you like I thought I had to be in the romantic script of youth. And then me, the real me, or generally the real me around everyone else. But my personality with you is just too hard romantically. So I know myself, you kind of, you're you comfortably across the board, and you might tweak it here and there. Obviously, there's a formality to who you are at the office. And then that formality slips away, especially with family and friends. And when you think about it, if you were to have an intimate relationship with somebody, you'd want it to be in the realm of friends and family, where you're not second guessing yourself. You're saying what you want. You're not worried whether they're going to jump down your throat. That kind of thing. Warhammer says, finally catching you live. Well, maybe because I'm doing a mid-live stream. I haven't done a midweek stream. I haven't done a midweek stream for a long time. I've found that everyone seemed to find it more comfortable on the weekend. But I thought I'd throw one in midweek. It's Thursday morning here in Melbourne, the 4th of March. Jeff says, how do you feel about marrying a native Filipina and bringing her back to your country? This is in his case. He says, she's 22 and I am 47. Look, man, there's been cases where, especially when a woman's from a vastly different culture, you might go over there, and because there's very big separations and rules about socially how men and women are allowed to act, and even between each other, men keep each other in check, men and women keep each other in check, men and other men keep each other in check to a degree, but there's more of a structure. It's not a very individual country, and because it's third world or second world, their lifestyle, their rules, their religions, and a whole bunch of other things keep them in check in a certain way. And if you go there on holiday, don't forget, if you're on holiday mode, you might think this is great, she's great, but there's been a lot of cases where people have been where they've bought a woman from a very different culture, different language, you can barely speak to each other, but you like her temperament and energy just as a female. If you just want this woman as a female, she barely speaks, she's from a different country, you find it hard to understand, broken English, vastly different worlds, and then you try and bring her into a completely different world, she may change over time. She may adopt the Western woman's lexicon and thinking and philosophy, and then it changes all over again. Then you've got the same thing you've been complaining about here. There's been a lot of cases like that. People have said your best bet if you go to places like that, like the Philippines and Thailand and Malaysia and things like that, is your best bet as a Westerner is to live there with them. If you like them there and you like the culture, is to live there. But bringing them back here, think of it. You're bringing them back to an environment here that when it's got to do with women and society and the media and all that, you don't like it. Better chances is that you go and live there. If you meet someone from the UK or a Western country, where you live, I think is less of a problem. But good luck, man. I wish you well. Not my bag. Marrying somebody, definitely I don't want to get married. No kids, but good luck. Do I invest in crypto? No, sorry. I probably should. People tell me to, but no, I don't. Burkhart. Human, how do you maintain and find lifelong friends, especially when everything is so superficial nowadays? Common values are important, but such like-minded people are usually countries apart. Look, I agree. I created my channel because I couldn't, at that time, the relationship I was in, I couldn't speak to her. I realized very quickly that this inner world, there was no connection between me and her. Yes, I should have realized earlier, but initially we did have interesting conversations, but afterwards you realize that they were conversations in sort of the mating dance. They, to sort of, because the other person wants to be with the other, wants to say yes to certain things and so forth. But in terms of finding friends and basically people to connect with, I had to create my YouTube channel, and then I found a lot of friends online. But in my personal life, I make a concerted and conscious effort to visit people. So to and from work, sometimes I'll drop in to family to see them, to friends. If I'm going anywhere, if I want to take a break, if I'm at home enjoying my solitude, and then, you from morning to night, you can't just not sit in one spot. You have to get up, you have to maybe eat, you go for a walk. If you go for a walk, visit somebody. Or if you get up and you're not going to go for a walk or exercise or get out in the sunshine, get in your car or jump on the train or bus and go and see a friend. I make an effort to want to go see friends. I want to. I selfishly want to do that in the in-between moments. So I'm actively involved in balancing those parts of my life around. So I'll write, I'll make YouTube videos, I'll do art. I'll grab my camera from time to time. I'll go out into the world. I'll visit people. I'll call them up, just even call them up. So make an effort, whether it's online, but especially off as well, in meet space, to to maintain those relationships and create them. If you don't have them, create them. Some people, I mean, I hadn't had to do it. I've got a small circle of friends and I maintain them. For me, it's like a garden that you keep watering. If you never water it, you can't blame those things dying and disappearing. Or if you don't plant and then create and water in any way you can, then you can't blame that, you don't have a garden. So at the very least, whether it's this kind of community, make connections. I know it's hard. Like I said, I know it's hard because when you're honest with yourself, you're honest that you don't want to pretend to be in other people's movies and roles and say yes and no to their script. You want to find your kind of movie and your kind of people and engage with them. So as much as you can engage, don't sit back, whether virtually or in the real world. Make friends, water your garden. It's sort of sometimes it poses a problem, like for myself. I know I love my solitude too, but there are moments where you wouldn't mind hanging around somebody. There are moments where you want to be around with your kind of person and have your kind of conversations. You can't just be on your own 24/7. I mean, you can, but there's a lot of life, I know for myself, that is missing. A lot of pressure release. Pent up sort of stuff. It's kind of like I can be really intense in terms of my writing and my thoughts and philosophical discussions. But then sometimes, it's just something relaxing about going for a drive or hanging out with a friend and watching a movie and just laughing at a stupid movie like Rambo or Commando or, some 80s action flick. Watching an escapist science fiction movie. Just even something as escapist as Star Wars. I mean, again, have a look at that. Say you look at it as movies. You can watch something like Matrix or Solaris, something a more intense philosophically, more a movie that needs your attention, a more of a philosophical movie. But then you can watch Star Wars and just kind of take the brakes off and have fun. So. Balance, gentlemen, balance. Hey, Mountain MGTOW. He says in response to the question why men lose interest in women, he says, it's because we have 0 more Fs to give. Yeah. Quite simply, with a lot of guys, and women know this in their teens and 20s, men want them. Men try. Men might screw up. And some of us didn't screw up. It was the women that were the problem. But then some of us look back and go, yeah, I screwed up in this way. But the problem is, I believe men have only so much fuel in their relationship tank, in their love tank. And as you get older, you just get empty. And you're running on fumes. And the older you get, you don't... And when I say running on fumes, it's... the fumes needed for you to even try and care anymore. If she throws herself at you when you're older and you're running on fumes, yeah, all well and good, but the chances of that are very, very slim. So running on fumes is a big thing. You deplete your tank in terms of your interest in caring. That's the message that men keep telling women, that the 0 Fs of time and age and maturity. I've said it before that men get into their 30s, their hormones start to decline and go downhill, and their attention moves from women to the world. And then once it starts moving in that direction, men just start going down that road more and more, and women are more in the rearview mirror. Whereas when you're younger, women are right at the front. They're the road you're on. You want nothing else, and everything in life is secondary, to the degree that you'll sacrifice your life for everything just for a woman. It flips on its head. It starts kind of moving the other way, and women fade off into the distance. Enza Maglagaren, whatever. Can never say your name, man. He says, tired of cluster B personalities, not only women, sick of being +1, drama, biology, politics, second to third choice, not being able to be myself. That's a big one for me. Not being able to just be you the way you are comfortable and you know you're you and you enjoy being you around your family and friends. And to a small degree, even at the office, just think about that formal structure. How even with HR and all the rules and making sure you cross your T's and dot your I's and you quack and act like and walk like a duck, you're still much more comfortably you and relaxed. Your heart rate is, much more in the office than in a relationship that you're supposed to come down to and feel like, I'm home. It's like you're going back to another job for most guys. Tim says, once your heart gets ripped out, why go through it again? Yeah, it hurts too much. There's that too. As I mentioned at the start, especially the guys who have been through really horrific stuff, I can't blame them. I said it in a video, when women kind of laugh at guys that have been through a lot of pain. That's really telling when a woman laughs at your pain and is like, LOL, you haven't met the right girl yet. You're just bitter. But if a man was telling, instead of a man telling you their painful heartbreak, it was a woman telling you of her painful heartbreak in terms of not being able to have kids or it never happening for her, trying, having miscarriages, things like that, right? We'd all be sympathetic, man or woman. The fact that so many women don't have any kind of sympathy for a man, honestly, just telling you about the pain he's been through. I know no one likes weak men, especially women, but come on. Especially when a guy gets older, if you don't care about his vulnerability, why the hell should a man care about a woman's? Really? Why aren't men chivalrous? Why don't men care? Because you don't. And you rudely don't care. You don't even try. At least women sometimes put on an act. But when you get older, that's the hard thing, ladies. The act doesn't work. Men sort of start reading between the lines. That's maybe another good analogy. Men are drunk on women when they're younger, and then they sober up and never drink again. And it's like you can only present yourself to a guy sober and he's sober. Whereas when you're younger, when men are hormonal in their teens and 20s, men are continually drunks. And you can get whatever you want from them in their drunk state. Men stop drinking in their 30s and beyond, and then you're dealing with a sober man. HJ Elsma 93, hi human, how come it's okay nowadays for women to hurt our feelings? I don't think it's just today though. To give an example, just today I had another experience with a woman where she blocked me after 2 dates. Look, it's common these days. Women have got a lot of options. Look at Tinder, look at just swiping left and right. There's so many apps. And it's not just the dating and hookup apps. There's, people are hooking up and socializing and dating through social media like, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is now. So the social and dating and hookup environment is so much. Why would a woman really, unless you tried, salivating, kept hunting and trying and basically groveling with a six-pack, an expensive sports car, a lot of money, holidays, basically showering her with so much attention and superficial sort of stuff that she can't ignore you. There's too many options for women. And this is the thing today across the board, I'm guessing is, and I was talking briefly to Stardust the other night. He rightly said that a big problem today is just there's too much with the internet. There's too much choice. You can't compete with this tidal wave of choice and fragmented nodes. It's just a spider web of too many choices. Why would a woman tolerate me, get to know me, be vulnerable with me, where she not only has the option but he's addicted to and enjoys the attention of those hundreds and thousands of other nodes, even non-romantically with a guy. Where can he focus his attention? Our attention's being distracted and unfocused everywhere. We're not focused anywhere. That's why most of us are stuck. Even if it's not got to do with women, like we just got so many directions that are vying for our attention. It's very hard to work against that avalanche. I mean, how many people read books? How many people sit down with a book and focus on that? Or how many people read, go on to another thing, lose interest in the book? How many people keep flicking from article to article? No one stays with anything. There's so much divided attention, especially in the dating game today, because there's too many avenues. Hydrostatic says, you pretty much answered the question. Women my age have already made all the wrong decisions, roughly 10 years younger than you, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, I really noticed in my mid-30s, my interests start to shift, and my curiosity with the world and ideas and myself and ethics and morals and life just started to have so much color in that direction that was dormant before. And women were the same sort of same magic trick, same card trick. They were really basic. When you're young, they just seem like fireworks. And yeah, when you're in your 30s and 40s and beyond, it's like it's no longer fireworks. Women resemble like someone showing you a deck of cards and going, "Here, pick a card." It's like, dude, no, I'd rather not. Like, I'm bored of that trick. Helsma says, where is he? Where are you? This goes to the point where I'm simply afraid to go and play the game. It just seems like the romance is gone. What are your thoughts about this? Yeah, a big problem is that you have to get to the point, especially middle age, 30s and beyond. If the person doesn't resemble a familiarity, a friend, don't bother. Before, we were chasing after foreign romantic objects, a foreign woman, a foreign sexual object. Now, if it doesn't resemble some sort of familiar friend, it's like, don't bother. Like, I love the familiar, my friends, family, life, pastime, hobbies. If it doesn't fall into the familiar, chuck it away. You tried different things to find out what your familiar was in your teens and 20s. Stay with the familiar, guys. Life's too short. Let people have the women that aren't for you. Let people have the hobbies that aren't for you. You know, you're not built for everything. Brad, thank you very, very much for the donation and super chat. I'm very appreciative. He says, sup from Canada. Like the button, clicks, you buggers. Yeah, hit the like button, guys. It costs you nothing. Subscribe, it's free. Bukart says, how can we deal with those random bursts of loneliness? Even when you're having a happy life, there are those moments where you like to share it with someone. That's true, but just remember, they're just random bursts. It's not, if your whole life was that, that's a different story. Am I clipping, by the way? My audio is going into slightly the red, so let me know if it's a bit too prominent. Always remember, they're random moments of loneliness. Here and there. If you've got a good life otherwise, and then here and there you have those days where you're lonely or you wish you had someone. I mean, I have them too. I'm not lying. I have those moments where it'd be really nice to have someone, you know, sitting on the couch with me, or lying in my bed, or waking up with somebody. But if your life in general is good, you know, first world problem too. It's like, I've got everything. Life is good. Life is comfortable, but you can't let the exception swallow the whole. Remember what the whole of your life is. Remember what you have. Without sounding corny, be grateful for the totality of your life and don't focus on the exception that you don't have. Because at the end of it, even when you get a woman, you'll probably be annoyed at something else you don't have. You know, your car's not right. You want a different house, or you don't have a speedboat. I don't know. Share and like, guys. Yep, it's free. Help me out. Doesn't cost you anything except for a click. G. Gared says, hey human, I noticed that most women don't have hobbies. It bothers me because they expect you to be their hobby. Exactly. I think I said this in my previous video. Beware the woman who doesn't have, and pay attention and really try and have conversations around interesting topics and see if she has an opinion about it, or if you're the one driving it and she's just being agreeable. Or if you could tell she's thinking about it for the first time and thinking, wow, that's an interesting question. I don't know. If she really doesn't have an opinion on life or isn't interested in life, it's not just you want it to be like you, because I noticed when I was interested enough in life, my life, how I interact with other people, with women, what I want and don't want from relationships, is that I'm more involved and engaged in those aspects in life. If she doesn't care philosophically, or she doesn't have hobbies, or she's not engaged in her life, she's an empty vessel where you have to fill her up all the time. And as I said in the previous video, if she doesn't have a hobby or any kind of moral philosophy or any interests or any ability to kind of conversationally like go down your path and have that tennis match verbally back and forth way that you find familiar and comfortable, you will only have a relationship with that person as a role. You'll be the boyfriend, she'll be the girlfriend, and you'll go places, you go on trips, you'll visit people. It'll all be idle chit-chat, nothing meaningful. It'll be the BS conversations you have at work, but romantically, not at work. So it'll feel like another job, because basically it is. It's another role. Just like, you know, your cubicle job is a role, and you talk formalized around the structure of that job. You go home, and you'll be formalized talking in a relationship with that person, and that'll be your role. So beware the person that has a rich inner world, if that's what you're interested in. I mean, that's the predominant thing for me. I want a person with a rich inner world, the ability to have a conversation. Values are similar. I mean, they don't have to entertain you, but you want the similar aspect of things you get from family and friends, where you really enjoy being with another person in that domain. You want that with this person too. So yeah, beware the woman without hobbies. Man, even if it's reading or watching movies, but when it's kind of having to be in environments where they don't have to talk, like they can be on holiday and they can just tell you what they see. Environments where they don't have to actually contemplate anything. Because that's, for me, a good test. If you're sitting on the couch with someone, you can't just say, oh, nice wall, nice TV, nice couch. It has to be about something. You have to think about concepts and talk to each other. But if your relationship is just about going places and that role of boyfriend and girlfriend, then all they have to do is like, oh, that tastes great. That food's good. Look at the bridge. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that great? Let's go here. What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to eat tonight? It's just reporting, but no contemplation about where you are and what you think. So yeah, beware the person who has nothing inside. Okay. Sheepdog Alpha. Why do women feel the need to mock men who live a very simple life? Because they want to shame men to live a rich financial life. So those men exist more and more. So there's more of a pick of them. If you're a guy who needs less and less and you live very minimalistically, it kind of tells you that you're not attractive to women. But yeah, who cares? Live a happy life for you. And if you if you find your rare unicorn that likes that and sees no problem with that, and then at least you know that's the only person you're going to consider. Yeah, don't change your whole life. Don't make your life into something that's not you, just for another person where you just have to go shopping and traveling with, and that's it. And you can't even talk to. You literally have to go visit friends or jump online or be in the shed or get in your car to enjoy your life with them. But when you're with them, yeah, the feeling of going home to somebody and it being another job. Mark says, do you notice that men and women have a limit of deep, insightful conversations, and once that max is hit, that you lose interest in maintaining the friendship relationship? Yeah, most of us are surface. That's why it's hard to find a good friend. That's why it's hard to find a good lover. It's because they're equally deeper in terms of the time spent and you feeling comfortable living in that space for very long periods of time. We can tolerate everything for short periods of time. You know, I can walk past a screaming kid for 5 seconds and it doesn't sort of affect me very much. But sitting in a room with a screaming kid for like 5 minutes, give me a cyanide capsule. Ben says, do you think it's harder nowadays with the world being on the locked up thing to maintain a romantic relationship? Probably. I've heard a lot of cases where there's a lot of divorces being filed because people suddenly realize they have to spend time with each other. Why did you divorce? Because I have to spend time with them. That's why kind of men once they get a taste and they find out being on their own isn't that bad, and then they start loving it. It's like it takes a lot for you to get pulled back. So literally a unicorn needs to come out. And the reason why I think guys like refer to a woman after a man's woken up to this and he's woken up to himself and what life really is and should mean for him is that only a unicorn will do, and it's laughable that unicorns exist. So it's kind of like a clarity. It's kind of like, I'm not chasing anymore because unicorns don't exist. If one happens to be thrown at me or falls out of the sky, I may look in that direction. Ted1775, human, obviously never heard of Thoreau. You would be mistaken by saying obviously. I've heard of Thoreau. What makes you think I've never heard of Thoreau? Smearbeer said, what happened to your last conversation with Spetsnaz or Coltrane? Can't remember, missed out on it. I did it. Let me quickly have a look for you. I didn't put the same thumbnail that I usually put for chats. I put a thumbnail that just referred to the topic of the conversation. Because I think it sort of the topic has to be interesting for YouTube to show it around more. So if I just kind of put an obscure name like Coltrane or Spetsnaz or Quasimandias, it's too obscure, it's not specific enough, it's not a topic of interest. So the chat I had with Spetsnaz was when a man only values his looks. That was one. And the one, why he was the best. That was a long conversation Spetsnaz and I had about Paul Proteus. So, yeah, that one was on the 7th. of February, and the one before that with Spetsnaz was on the 16th of January. So if you want to have a look at that. Piers Lort, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it, man. He says, just for the hell of it, cheers. I appreciate it, man. Cheers to you for supporting my channel, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, the conversations are really something I'm happy and really proud of on my channel. I love the fact that you guys, on the back of whatever I'm talking about at the moment, I love that you guys expand some of those ideas in areas I never would have thought of. And it makes sense because we've all had different lives and different experiences and different things that stuck in our heads in terms of what we learned. And then when these topics come out again between friends, you know, it's great in that kind of conversation when someone says, well, on that topic, let me tell you something, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, wow, man, I never thought about it that way. Or that's a great way to put it. So some of the poetry that comes out from you guys in terms of your thinking and how you guys have come to terms with the things that I might be talking about, or something that's not completely what I'm talking about, but tangentially associated with it, where we can sort of have that kind of conversation between men being shared, because it's shared much less today. You know, there's such a massive amount of guys growing up without fathers, being raised by women who aren't going to actually sit you down and give you male mentoring. You know, you can't be taught how to be a guy from a woman. Yes, you know, if you've got a good mother, she can mentor you in the structural aspects of what's objectively right and wrong in life, in terms of, you know, certain types of fairness, what might be dangerous, what might not be. But in terms of thinking from a male's point of view, that a male only gets metaphorically and spiritually as a guy, that a woman can kind of maybe from a really far distance appreciate but not understand. That's where only a man can talk to a man. And this kind of stuff, and us having conversations and you leaving them in the comment section, is really, really appreciated. Not just for me, but I think it's one of the things that I don't think I'm wrong in saying that a lot of guys appreciate much of you guys in the comment section, that community. So keep it going. Some of the questions about the future, I don't have any idea, guys. Sorry. I wish I had a crystal ball. I'd love all of these limitations we have now in what we can do and where we can go. I mean, before we had limitations just in what we said, and that was bad enough. It was a pressure cooker. People were going to pop. Now we have all those limitations in what we can say, but now we've got limitations where we can walk, what we can do. We're limited everywhere. So it's real, you know, as bad as it was before, I'd rather these limitations weren't here at least. So now it's getting worse and worse. Raphael, thank you very much for the super chat donations. His comment was, thanks, Mr. Human, listening to your content during my walks. It's quite enlightening. You're welcome. During your walks, I'd imagine that takes up a lot of bandwidth. It's always amazing to me that Australia, being a first world country, we've got one of the worst internets on the entire planet. I've got friends I talk to on Discord, which, by the way, don't be afraid, you guys, if you want to jump on and have a community like more like this where you can talk, if you've got a microphone, get yourself familiar with how to use Discord. Basically, if you have a microphone, you can jump on and talk, almost have a podcast kind of conversation with other people. So there's always people dropping in randomly, and I drop in when I can. But bear in mind, I have a time difference being in Australia. I can't always be on, but I try and drop in the evenings, especially after probably 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. Australian time to sort of late evening. I tend to go to bed after midnight here. So lucky you, I'm a night owl. So if any of you guys want to have a conversation, don't be afraid to drop into Discord. But yeah, internet, it really sucks here. Whenever I try and once or twice, I learned very quickly, trying to listen to YouTube while I was on my walk. I basically used up all my bandwidth that month in a half an hour to a 40-minute period on one walk. Greg says, I'm 1 year into a 7-year breakup with 7 small kids. It's getting better and I'm grateful for the red suppository thing. Knowledge. What are your thoughts on escorts, especially since we are done with courting? Safer if all you want is sex, but I find it hard to get off on that. Just the physical act. I mean, I've had more success having a friends with benefits because I need to get along with them. I need to like the personality, but the fakeness of it, I can't pretend it's not what it is. When an escort is smiling and saying and doing everything I want, yeah, it's okay, but I know it's fake. For better or worse, guys, I don't know. Like, for me, it needs to have some semblance of real. There needs to be some reality associated with it for me to even just have just sex with a person, like a hookup or something. I have to click with a personality, a real personality. Hey Joe 212 says, as a middle-aged man, I'm on the fence about my interest in relationships. I'm not seeing much out there worth pursuing. No quality. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Probably not, but also it's largely associated with when you get older, women think that men will stay addicted to them like addicts, like they were in their 10s and 20s, because up until then it's like it's not changing, so why would it now? It's like if from when you grew up to your 20s, women just always saw the sun come up and the sky is blue. It's like, well, that's always going to be the case, isn't it? Like it's been imprinted in me since birth. Why would it be any different? And men aren't showing any signs of it being different. And they go about their own lives. They're traveling. They're doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, when they blink and they kind of go, you know what? Things feel different. I'm maturing too. I'm getting into my 30s. My hormones are changing. I can't be bothered going to nightclubs. Traveling just doesn't have the luster it used to. And hey guys, let's date again. It's like, whoa, guys are different now. It's like if you had from a guy's point of view, I'm thinking, say you had a dog when you're in your teens and you really had a great experience, and then you kind of think about in your 40s, like, I want a dog again. You think about it very, very differently. Even if you want a dog, how you want to have a dog in your 40s is very different to how you want to have a dog when you're 12 years old. Peter says, in middle age, I have realized that it's not about the money. It's all about the time saved and keeping my sanity. And you realize at middle age, there's more life behind you, potentially, than ahead of you. So, responsibility, being disciplined, being honest with yourself, getting yourself and your life in gear, because you can't be wasteful anymore. You can be wasteful when you think like, oh, I've got a lot of time. I've got more time ahead of me than behind me. That's like, great. But when the music stops and the lights start being switched on in the nightclub, you start to realize, okay, I have to go home. Where is home? Do I even know what home is? Do I have a sense of what home is for me? What is my life? The party's over. Yeah, sorry. I think comments get censored here as well in real time. So the algorithm is very, very, I wouldn't say switched on, but very quick. Oh, we've got 583 viewers. I think that's a record. I might do midweek streams more often if you guys find this popular. For some reason, when I started doing streams, I did ones midweek like that now, and then I did ones on Saturday or Sunday. And the weekend ones always seemed like they were more appreciated. Maybe it's just me subjectively, the feel I had. But just by the numbers and you guys in the comments, it seems like you guys might like midweek ones as well, or if I had to choose, or if I'm able to do both. Mountain MGTOW says, I always put moves on women when I was drunk. I think that was the reason why I got a big control freak aspect in me. I've never liked the idea of being inebriated or drunk, because if I enjoy the state, I don't like the lack of control that for me to feel good again, I need to be in that state. So I need to depend on alcohol or a substance. I don't want to depend on, I think it's sort of the freedom aspect of me. I don't want to depend on sort of anyone really. I want to be responsible. So I don't want to depend on a substance or a person for my source of happiness. I want to be a happy person. I want to be a lucid, self-aware person and then engage with others. You know, I like giving too. But if you're empty and you need alcohol to fill you up, or if you're empty and you need a woman to fill you up, or, you know, you've got to, I don't know, you don't have to. I'm not saying you gotta, but for me, I feel nervous being empty without someone having to give me life. And look, I know that friends, family, and in the past, sometimes lovers have given me life. But if you're standing there like a lifeless lump without them, I mean, one, what are you giving them? And most importantly, what are you giving yourself? Stephen said, at what age does it become easier or no effort to be done with relationships? I think it goes up and down. It's different for everyone. Like we said, sometimes you're fine. I'm fine most of the time, but then you get moments. You might get lonely. It might be nice to have someone in your bed, wake up with someone, or be on the couch watching a movie with someone, be able to talk with somebody. I mean, it doesn't even need to be philosophically. It'd be just nice to just have an idle chit-chat conversation and a joke. Man, a joke with somebody. Because what can happen here is, this is great. I get a lot out of intellectual discussion. And that's one thing that, I don't get much of, if at all, with ex-partners. But also just the ability to laugh and have those hormones go through you because of that kind of conversation. A conversation imbued with levity and humor and just mucking around. For instance, when I don't have deep philosophical conversations with my brother, but my brother is one of the closest people in my life. We have this bond and we joke with each other all the time, and I love that. So that's some of the stuff I miss in a relationship, with a lover, is not just the physical stuff, is where you just get adrenalized and filled up with levity and comfort. Those kind of things. Different for different people. Always be aware, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Some of the stuff we talk, that guys share around information, it is a one-size-fits-all kind of signpost, but how you go about it, the speed and the direction, is your choice. But some things are objectively true. You know, winter is cold, summer is hot. Yeah, but there's ways of thinking and nuance in between, whether or not you put on a jacket, where you live. All right, enough with the metaphors, human. Ingzaglabem says, roles and rules is definitely a reason. Live by my own rules and standards is always the best. Yes. Boots Void, your last video was on point about the boyfriend role. It's amazing how women want us to be willingly unauthentic. Yeah. Sad how I interpreted that as being better with my fancy rose-colored glasses. Yeah, they're wanting honesty, but the moment you're honest, it's kind of like, just not feeling it. You can't say that. But basically, they want you to be honest according to the romantic script. Be honest about reading your script as a boyfriend. That's why I said, unless you find a girl that you can tell by the way she talks that she doesn't, she's not a girlfriend role. She's just a person that you happen to be attracted to. That's a good start. But the moment you kind of find just someone who's hot that you want, it basically, even if she's a decent person, at that point, all it is two decent people trying to kind of really force themselves to tolerate spending time together, and it doesn't work for very long. This is one thing I'm going to make a video about, I think, is we're not looking for love, we're looking for familiarity. Find someone that makes you feel familiar, not someone who's going to love you. Upcoming video. Especially in middle age. You should know, not even you should know, you know more or less who you are. You've come out of the oven. There's less and less questions. Now the question is, how honestly am I going to live? Negative Thoughts says, it's the illusion of choice. Women think the 1,000 guys who swipe right on her would marry her. Yeah, but they just want sex. So women keep thinking they have hundreds of options, but don't really. And also, guys will flirt with them. Even married men. Not to say that a lot of married men will do anything past that, but not just the amount of guys who swiped right on them or in their inbox, but in day-to-day, men look at them, flirt with them, talk to them, so they think they have all these men, but they don't. How many of those guys are married, taken, and they just like smiling and looking at a woman or saying hello and flirting with her, and that's it. Makes him feel good. In the same way a woman likes attention, doesn't mean she's going to jump on the guy. But women think that the attention that they get means that they have all of these options. So if they've got 100, say it's 100, sometimes it's thousands of guys. They think, I have a pick of 1,000 guys. No, you might only have a pick of 2 or 1 or maybe none. All of those 1,000, they're made up of taken men, polite, flirty men, maybe even flirty unconsciously because their biology is drawn to you and they just find you attractive or interesting. But like for instance, if I see some hot mess that I know there's no chance in heck that I would even invite her to my home, let alone bed her, but it makes me feel good to flirt with her for 5 seconds at the supermarket, right? I may have done that in the past, but that's not me wanting her. I'm not going to ask her out for a coffee. And even if she did sort of say, you want to catch up for a coffee, it'd be like, I don't know. So I think women have the misnomer of thinking they have the choice of 1,000 guys, but they may not have a choice of any. Those guys just want to bed them, but they don't have a choice of 1,000 relationships. They might have a choice out of 1,000 guys that they think they can get. They might have a choice of mainly 100 guys that would actually cross the line to put in the effort to want to bed them, and those guys will hit it and quit it and go back to their own happy and content life, especially after middle age. Okay, I won't say those words, but you know what I wanted to say. Hey, Mr. Highway, how are you, man? Look, I can't read your name. I should. It's in Cyrillic, but I was awful at that. He says, "Hi, human. What would make you keep interest in a woman?" The same thing as a good friend. Obviously, you know, a woman who I find physically attractive has that added bonus because I don't need that from a friend or want it. So similar qualities that I would be interested with a friend too. Key himself, thank you very much for the donation. His comment is, why are ladies in the US so boring? I don't just think it's the US, man. It's everywhere in the West especially. Because they've burnt the feminine bridge. They don't need men. Now they can do everything. It's like, and I understand the impulse from freedom. I don't need anything. Woo, I'm free. I can do everything. I've got my own job, got my own place. The world is mine. But then, where are the men? It's like, well, you didn't think you needed to take them with you. Actions have consequences. It's kind of like me. If I all of a sudden, not that I ever will, imagine I get to 60, it's like, wow, I really want kids now. Well, you should have wanted them when you were 20, human. So, I need to eat that crap sandwich. That'll never happen though, but do you know what I mean? There's a time and place for things. Women think, just like their beauty commercials, that they never get old or they can defy nature and time. You can't. Nature doesn't care. DM says, are Australian ladies anything to brag about? No. I think I mentioned the story. Why don't I put my usual glass on? That's better. I think I've relayed this story before where I remember a couple of years ago I had family members and people in my life saying, "Oh, human, you're too picky. Maybe you like who you are specifically. You just require too much from a woman. What woman's going to tolerate that?" And I logged into one of the most popular apps here in Melbourne, and I logged in and I said, "Here." I gave my phone. I said, "Find me somebody. You know me." This was family members. Find me someone. And they were flicking for, no kidding, half an hour. And all I heard from them, looking at them on the other side of the couch, was, "Oh my God, you're kidding. No way. Listen to this. Oh, look at her. Oh my God." That's all I heard. And you know what happened in that half an hour or 40 minutes or whatever they were flicking through? They handed the phone back to me and they said, "Christ." And that's them having less, they're just wanting to find me someone who's either, attractive and has some semblance in their profile of being some kind of match. They couldn't find anything. And what they couldn't believe was the entitlement and what some of these women, how they were portraying themselves, how they looked, what they wanted. So yeah, Australian ladies are nothing to brag about, which kind of makes it easier to kind of go, yeah, that's all right. I'm good in life. Guys, I have no opinion about the future. I don't know. No idea. Arizona Stone. Thoughts on the movie Eat, Pray, Love? I think it's a crock. Did you know that in real life, that because it was based on a woman's true story, that I think she left her husband and did that journey. She went, overseas and started finding herself. And, she found that kind of guy at the end, that some Spanish Lothario. And she left him, she divorced him, most people don't know afterwards, and she married her female friend who only had a few months to live. She had an incurable disease. So she left the love of, this love of her life she found at the end of Eat, Pray, Love. And then later in life, she dumped him a couple of years later and she married her friend who was about to kind of check out in a couple of months anyway. So I think the whole Eat, Pray, Love garbage is a desperate crock of crap because there's no philosophical basis other than I just want to feel good. There's nothing grounding it. If you just want to feel good all the time from day to day, you're always desperately waking up going, I wonder how I'm going to do it today. Like, because I've got no bullet pointed structure by which to sort of live. Every day is, I have no idea how I'm going to survive emotionally. I hope it works out. It's basically living mentally by a best case scenario philosophy, which is awful because you've got no philosophy for anything less than best case scenario. You fall apart. And what happens if your relationship is just not as exciting as yesterday, the relationship you're having in your life, whether it's people or things or the place you're in? It's like, it doesn't give me the buzz it did yesterday. I'm moving or leaving him, or the place I'm in, I'm moving somewhere else. And you just keep playing musical chairs to chase a feeling. You're chasing a future feeling. And you might get a buzz and you think, okay, now I found it. Then tomorrow that buzz goes and then you're forever chasing. Okay. Eric says, do you think women are just empty shells without a real personality? Women are also really boring to talk to, in my opinion. What do you think? Look, it's not all, but I think it's one of these things where men are sort of like really addicted to women in their teens and 20s especially, where we don't care what their personality is like because our hormones just want them, and women know this. They don't develop a personality, or at least the women who don't care enough intellectually about anything, women who don't read, women who don't have interesting conversations, and all it's about is shopping. And look, we get men, we can have a family. I don't need to fill myself with a personality. So if they've never had a need to, that's why later on that muscle doesn't exist with women. It's like, what? I don't know what men want from me anymore. Why don't men chase anymore? It's like, because you don't have qualities like a friend or a human being that are interesting. Most women past middle age are boring as F. And I don't care if people are offended. It's just not boring as in like I think they're awful people. But we didn't care about that stuff in our teens and 20s. Yeah, you could say it might be our fault, but we were addicted to women, and women know this. Later on, we need the substance of life, whether it's on our own or with other people, friends or lovers. And if there's no substance there, if a woman doesn't have a rich inner world, especially, say, with me, I have an opinion on things and I like to have conversations. So I like being and interacting with people, especially in my private life. If, I've got my mouth covered and my brain switched off, man, I might as well just be on my own because I like my solitude. But if I'm going to be with somebody, I want to be able to have that rich inner world that I have with myself. I want to be able to share and communicate some of that with the person too. So I think women spend too long in their youth not developing any kind of personality, and they're bereft of it later on, and they don't have anything to share. And they're kind of saying, oh, it's unfair. It's like, well, get a hobby, get an interest, find something to talk about, read something, have an opinion, even if it's about something as banal as politics or world affairs. Something that you can actually have a good conversation with someone about, where they can get to know what you think about a thing, rather than, well, I don't know, I like shopping, I like doing stuff. Great, so do I, everyone does. But what about you? What makes me want to commit to you or spend time with you? Mr. Smith, I was recently thinking about the concept of the self-delusion of snapshot hearts and was wondering about your opinion. She was changing before my eyes, but love made me blind. Yeah, I think Coterie was the one that came up with that video, Snapshot Hearts, where a lot of us guys, especially where we lament or feel bad about past relationships, we freeze them in good moments in the past, and that's where we miss them. These mental snapshots of, when we were in this moment, or this moment was really nice, and we miss that, but we forget why we broke up. So having snapshots of your ex can really be heartbreaking, but don't forget their snapshots. because we put in photo albums our best photos. We put on our Instagram feeds our most curated and favorite photos. We don't put 99.9% of the trash and garbage and boring and fights and tension. Jorin says, ever had relations with a pregnant hooker human? No, and I never will. Neither of them. Mr. Highway, thank you very much for your support and donation, continued support. I really appreciate it, man. He says, how did guys like you and Spets cope before spaces like these existed? What did you do when you couldn't Google? Why did she cheat and get a RP video? Guys who are going through this, it's I think that's also a downside. There's a good benefit where when you got no one, you can at least type in why did she cheat or why did she leave me through Google, and you can understand and have a conversation there. But there's nothing better than having a conversation with another person. I suppose Spetsnaz and I were able to, and still are, because we've been exercising that muscle and we still have friends in that mode. We've learnt to express and work things out, not just digitally on our own, but with another human being. The understanding of a flesh and blood human being saying, no, this is real. Talking to another person makes you make the concept you're trying to get through more real. Because if it's just through your head, I think there's sometimes a part of you, no matter how much you read on Google or watch a video, because you're still on your own, you might not trust it. You think it makes sense, but I'm still alone here. Can I really trust that this makes 100% sense? Whereas when you're with a person that you trust and know and they're speaking, there's that tactile and haptic form of reality where it's as close to a 100% understanding as you'll get, because you experience the heartbreak in the real world. And if you're talking and making sense of it in the real world, I think it helps that much more. Whereas if you're trying to make sense of something that happened to you in reality, away from reality, it's never 100% kind of simpatico and compatible and parallel. There's always this kind of different worlds. It's the same reason I think guys who are trying to make sense of, emotionally understand what happened with a woman rationally by reading stuff online. It's like, it's a little compartmentalized. They're two separate worlds. Trying to kind of weave them together is the hard thing. So basically, Spetsnaz and I don't want to speak for him, but I would say he has a very, I know this for a fact, he has a more rich life of people around him. That is why when you listen to Spetsnaz, you can tell this guy's grounded. He's fine. He can get a lot thrown at him and he's good because he operates in the real world much more than us. He finds operating here in this world much harder than myself and a lot harder than most of you guys. Not that he's a technophobe, he just doesn't care. He lives where he's supposed to live. That's why he comes across as so centered, because he's around real people more. And I keep suggesting with guys, find friends, find real people as much as you can. This stuff is great when you've got nowhere else to go. Trust me, guys, it's a reason why I started my channel. But you need to interact with people. Mustafa Al says, "What are you drinking, human? Or what did I drank? What have I drank? It's all empty now. Coffee. Yeah, coffee with milk. I just bought these glasses yesterday because normally I have my ceramic one. These I'm allowed to fill up a little bit more. So if I want a coffee with more milk." Gears Demon says, escorts are overpriced too. Get a flashlight or something. Yeah. What's the joke? What's the difference between SCX you pay for and SCX you get for free? SCX you get for free costs more. Eric says, human, did you ever get a vasectomy? No, but I've thought about it. I think if you 100% know, you should get it done younger. But then again, how do you know? If you've kind of still got that window open. But yeah, I definitely should have, because I never wanted kids. I just think I was worried about the surgery. That's what it was. But I think if you know 100%, do it. In my case, it was more that I was just kind of worried about surgery. Who knows? I might still get it done. If I'm with somebody. Live more life. Would you date a lady with kids? Last choice. I don't want my own kids, let alone someone else's kids around me. Okay. Let's get to some questions from under the video comments of that video, why men lose interest in women. Sam says, human is easy to listen to. I hope so. Am I in focus? Let's make things uncomfortable. There we go. All right. Peter says, vulnerability is a repellent to women. As soon as you open up, they are disgusted and it's game over. For the majority of women, yeah. Don't listen to what women say. See how they act. Use your observations, use your brain when you're talking to a woman and actually see if what she says and how she acts and, what she really wants and her experience and what she likes, whether it matches her ethics. Because women know, you ask most people, yeah, money's not important. Love is important. How we treat each other is important. Yeah, everyone agrees that it's the right thing to say because it is the right thing. But then when you talk to them and ask them questions, you discover quite quickly that they don't live their lives anywhere near that. In fact, some of them love the opposite. Guys with Ferraris and they work all the time and they have escorts and they, pump and dump, and all of a sudden they talk about, money's not important and love is important. It's like, well, yeah, there's a lot of BS because your life's not directed in that area. It's nice that you acknowledge it, but if you were to get with someone like that, you know what? You have to know who you're getting with. You can't just naively trust what someone says, because everyone instinctively knows what the right thing to say and what the right values are, especially with another person. Because if you don't say the right things, you can scare someone off. So pay attention. People are going to be asking me about this too. The color's really weird. It's not a dark green in real life. It's actually a lighter green because of the color grade. Going through this video, how I've colored the feed. Okay, let's go through some of the okay, let's get to first some of the super chats. Yeah, it is hard to find a good match, people. That's why don't waste your time with bad matches, because then when you're with someone, the wrong person, you're missing out on maybe finding the right person. Time goes on. You could miss out. And I'm not saying to look for unicorns, stay on your own, but if you stop tolerating bad relationships, because the time you spend in there, it's like being locked in a job. You don't look for other jobs anymore. You're not out there with your resume. You're not looking for the right fit for you. So you take the wrong job, you could be locked in there for life. So, yeah, don't take the wrong job. Stay jobless until you find the right job for you. Because once you have a job, you don't look anymore. And good jobs pass you by. The job that's perfect for you passes you by. Dave B, thank you for the donation. I'm grateful. He says because they don't develop that personality is the reason they always want us to entertain them. It's always up to us to plan. Exactly. They because they don't develop a personality, they're always neutral. They're always passive. We have to be the active one. Active one in jokes, active one in conducting life, what to do. And whatever we do, it better put a smile on their face. But if it's not something they like, because they don't communicate that well, they're not as honest. Yeah, that's very true. Most women don't develop a personality. That's why they always want men to entertain them, and it's always up to us to plan. Southern Soul says, red flags are white flags wearing rose-colored glasses. Take them off. So love is no longer blind. Someone left a comment and actually said that if you only wear rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags. And I thought that was a brilliant comment. I can't remember who said it, but it was a really good comment. Red P Biker donated a thank you very much, man. He just says thanks. Well, thank you. Ford says, I haven't properly thanked you yet, human. You and Better Bachelor have been my mentors this past year, and the lockdown in my country gave me the time to digest your content. Well, thanks for dropping in, and glad I could provide something. Sonam, thank you for the donation. He says, they are nothing. Men have suffered inception. They are barely able to disguise that. Celestial Woodway, thank you for the donation. He says, I work at a post office as a clerk, and many female customers of all ages are so nagging and entitled they don't come in prepared and act helpless. Yeah, herding cats. That's the brain. Keville Hipster says, human, you said you dated a woman who listened to death metal. Do you ever hear it? I like heavy metal, but she loved that all the time. All the time. Like Rammstein. All the time. And if she listened to things like Tool, or the earlier albums of Metallica, they were rarer, but for majority it was like death metal, real kind of demonic, heavy, aggressive Rammstein kind of things. AK, thank you very much for the donation, man. I really appreciate it. He says, human, I've been following your content for some time. You are, in my opinion, the de facto expert on men's health and well-being. Well, thank you for the compliment, but I'm just some guy who's trying to live better and understand things, and hopefully share this conversation with you guys, because I know that I would have appreciated this conversation and sharing of ideas with other men, and maybe not making mistakes on my own, but having someone to kind of go, hey, think about that, man. and maybe I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes or wasted a lot of my time. Thank you for all you do. Your words are the salve for men wounded. Thank you very much for the donation and the support. I appreciate it, AK. Thanks, man. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Hit the bell. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Louis 2018, thank you for the donation. He says, you helped me avoid a life of quiet desperation. Keep up the good work. Well, you guys help me avoid certain things and interact and have an expression for some of my ideas and help me enjoy my filmmaking and writing and all these kind of things. And I have a social network of people where I can actually bounce ideas between. I've met so many people through my channel and you guys. There's so many people that I value today that I wouldn't have met had I not started my channel. So thank you guys too. So do what feels right. Like I created my channel because I did what felt right, what I had to do, and things come out of it. Lean in the direction that makes sense and out of the direction that doesn't. Hydrostatic, I think that after we peek behind the curtains and see who is pulling the strings in regards to romantic relationships, we decide to take a pass. Yep, especially when you get older. Peter says, I equate looking for a Nawalt to swimming through a room of broken glass, looking for the one diamond. Not worth it. That's a brilliant analogy. Swimming through a room of broken glass trying to find a diamond. I wonder if there's a way to pin that comment. There is. Cool. I just did. Oh, Adam says, Human, can you speak on the difference between trust and truth with a woman? I feel a man should be seeking truth. We are taught to learn to trust one another, that trust equals a great relationship. Look, trust equals a good relationship, but yeah, I'd say truth, like what seems real, what gives you comfort, and then you trust that. We trust the truth. So I think trust comes afterwards. Trust is a result of truth. Trust is a result of reciprocity. Trust is a result of familiarity, of fairness, of empathy. So I think trust, like love, is a result. I don't think it's something you aim for, but it's the result of true things or things that make sense or that align with you. Optimum Ups Evil says, my ex found my YouTube history to the TV and found out I was watching Human, Spetsnaz, Barbarossa, Thinking Ape, etc. Searched MGTOW on Wik and now thinks I'm a crazed misogynist. Well, if she doesn't know you by now, how long you been with her? And this is the other thing too. I think girls will get nervous. If you're with a woman and she finds out you're watching a lot of this content feverishly, exclusively, it might actually have something to do with you're not happy in your relationship. So the life and conversation and the mental space you're having with her, it's like you're needing MGTOW content as nutrition. You know, why is that, lady? That's better. Hydrostatic says, don't bring up tall human, CK will show up. Is he the one that says I look like Mr. Keenan? Simply because I got a shaved head and glasses? Like, I bet you if I take my glasses off, I don't look like him. Well, maybe you'll say I do because I've got a shaved head. Some of the questions, guys, if I don't have an answer, I'm just passing because all I'm going to say is no, I don't know, I've never heard of this. Sorry. Thanks for all the guys showing up. I've nearly had 600 people on, which is a record. So I think I'll do midweek chats more often. They seem to be well received. Actually, let's go through some of the comments. There were so many good comments in the live chat. I kept ignoring this. So anyway, Age of Machine says about why men lose interest in women. For all the smarts and emotional intelligence women say they have, it astonishes me how women fail to meet the needs of men they want with unfailing regularity. Then triple down thinking they're valuable, entitled to even more from men. This doubling down and getting worse as they age baffles me too. Men Gutting Their Own Wallet says, watch an old... I like this one. Watch an old YouTube video of a Porsche 928 from the 1980s, and it goes from 0 to 60 in 9 seconds. Now watch a video of a modern Honda Accord 2.0 2-litre turbo, and it goes from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Go get a flash reprogram from Honda Data, and you will get there in 5 seconds flat in a family sedan. Got you to forget all about women there for a few seconds, didn't I? Now continue on like that for the rest of your life, and your life will be awesome. I love that. That's great storytelling too. As a writer, I really appreciated that comment, and it's a great way to think about things. So take note. The moment you start to have an interest in things outside of women, you start to appreciate your life and things you're interested in. You'll be surprised how comfortable you feel the more time you spend in those spaces. Love His Cactus says, a woman will say, men want quiet women who are obedient, and then women will also say, men like crazy women. It's like, yeah, make up your mind. Which one do men actually like? Which one? You know, you can't. We might want one for one thing, but we're marrying the first, and we'll want to throw the other one against the wall and then throw her away. But yeah, Guitar Guy. As a man ages, his animal drive diminishes and he's much better able to think with the head atop his shoulders. In later life, when you contemplate starting a new relationship with a woman, you are much better equipped to be able to look at the decision with some level of detachment. This is very important. This is the thing that stood out for me. When you get older, this is for any women who may be listening to this, is men look at the relationship or having a relationship from a very detached point of view much more than when they were younger. He continues, and when you analyze the costs and benefits, you reach the conclusion that women really don't bring that much to the party. I'm good on my own. You realize what you're losing. So the level of detachment makes you realize, what am I going to lose, and what will my life most likely be with this person? What do I need to give up? Because you need to give more time to a new relationship, a committed, full-time relationship, or a serious relationship at the very least. Is it worth my time? Dragnar says, I am in my 50s and have dated my share of women, but I have never been married because all the women I've been with have a serious flaw in one form or another as it pertains to relationships. The most common is that they think you should feel privileged to be dating them. Yeah, that amazes me. It's not a two-way street. It's kind of like, why aren't you grateful? When you ask them, what do you have to offer as a woman? They look at you strange like, what? You? How does a peasant ask royalty that question? Aren't you? How are you not embarrassed? That's fairly rude. She says, another is the manipulation. I'm not looking for perfection, but maturity would be expected. And to date, I have yet to find someone who acts their age. Yeah. A lot of women act in the same dating mode as they did when they were 18 or 20. They don't change. They expect the same from men, and they expect the same from themselves. That is no introspection. and probably never will. And that's okay. I was not but on this earth to please and appease women. I am already a wage and tax slave. I'm not going to come home to someone to be a relationship slave as well. And the final comment from MW187, he says, as a man, you reach a point. It was when I was 32. You reach a point when you realize you've chased and you've chased. And you heard the excuses. You're too nice, you're too quiet, you're not being yourself, you don't know what you want. You've heard these things so many times and you realize it was projection onto you 9 times out of 10. And then you mature. You put your energy into excelling at your career, managing finances, maintaining your home, hobbies, coaching your young athletes, and your desire to chase disappears. It's not on the list to accomplish. It's silly. Why would you chase? You realize the time you wasted trying to convince women you're worth it. Yeah. And you finally see it's the other way around. You finally understand a woman needs to convince you she's worth it now, especially. You need to go out. She needs to go out of her way, and then you continue forward, hardly thinking back on it. The door isn't open, but it's not locked. Nicely put. Okay, let's see if there's any final questions, guys. If you've got any questions, remember, put some emojis around them so I can see them in the stream. And let's head towards the finish line of this live chat. Bradle says, midweek. Have you been sacked, human? No, not yet. I work for a company half of the week, and I work for myself the rest of the week. So Thursday to Sunday is my time to organize how I want, and I decided to organize it with you guys this morning. All right, guys. So unless there's any final questions, let's wrap it up. Shoot me your questions. I'll wait 5 minutes. Hilgoff, hey human, do you know Joker from Better Bachelor? I've seen his stuff. He seems like a good guy. Very switched on. Can you recommend some good self-help books? On my blog, at the bottom I think it is, I've got some book recommendations, but off the top of my head, the one that always comes to mind first is Marcus Aurelius's Meditations and Ayn Rand's The Virtue of Selfishness. All right, guys, how long have we been going? Just over an hour and a half. I think this was a good length. We'd had a good number of people. I enjoyed myself. My mouth is dry, which means I've been talking non-stop. Court Jester says, 19 and at uni, what advice do you have when it comes to dating? Good luck. Hormones and things at that age. I remember like women were on my list of priorities. They were first, second, third, fourth, and fifth at least. I was only able to concentrate on other things after I'd rubbed one out. So good luck with dealing with your hormones. But stay frosty and try and think with your head more than your groin as much as you can, because the dating environment is very, very dangerous legally. Thanks for dropping in, guys. I think let's call it a day. Thank you, all you guys who donated today, and all you guys who continue to donate and support me on Patreon or PayPal. It's much appreciated. It goes back in the channel. And don't forget to sub, share my videos around, and hit the like button. That's all free. And I'll catch you soon. Hang on. Westby Coast. What do you do for the first 3 days of a week? What type of work do you do? I'm a graphic web multimedia designer. Shock horror, huh? All right, guys. Let's call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, guys. And if I can, I'll do a stream on the weekend as well. But if not, I'll try and do at least another video by the end of the week. So thanks for dropping in, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.